I'm here with Louisiana Heavyweights Thou, just fresh off their second Chicago show. And can you each introduce yourselves?
I'm Mitch Wells, and I play bass.
Matthew Thudium, play guitar.
Brian Funk, and I sing.
Sweet. And my first question is mainly around the 3 full lengths. And can you basically go through, starting with Tyrant, and kind of talk about the concepts quickly about each record and how they interweave with the EPs?
That's all you, man.
Well, Tyrant started before Brian was even in the band.
Right.
We wrote that record. Matthew here originally did vocals. Then in the middle of recording, all those vocals got erased, or something bad happened. Was it actually erased? I don't remember. And then Brian had been harassing us about joining our band. And so when that happened, we were like, okay, let's give him a shot. And we did, and it worked. And then he wrote his own lyrics.
Cool.
Brian?
Yeah, but I used all of Matthew's lyrics.
Oh.
I just added, because when he was singing, it was a lot more sparse. It was like a lot more instrumental based, I guess, with the lyrics just sort of in there in certain parts, and I just went nuts with it a little bit.
Okay.
I guess concept-wise, I think the original concept behind Tyrant was sort of like sleep is that right? Sleep is like the overarching.
It's kind of hard to explain. I think you're
It's oversimplifying it a little bit, but
your version is better.
but that it was sort of being like kept in line by something inescapable, and so I sort of went with that, but like push it more of like the aristocracy, ruling class, upper class, ruling our lives kind of way. And then with Peasant, we sort of went with, I guess like the overarching theme on that was sort of like a fixation on death as mortality, as like another overpowering essence you have to sort of deal with that's imposed on you. And then it was also sort of about like the middle and lower classes and how they contend with the upper classes. And then Summit is sort of about people outside those two groups, or people who come from those two groups, or sort of people on the fringes who sort of are trying to break away from society as it is and create something new. It's supposed to be our positive,
Supposed to be.
Right.
posy record.
Yeah. Kind of is.
Kind of is.
And how do the 3 full lengths work with all the splits and EPs?
The split. Whenever we do the split stuff, we sort of like give ourselves a lot more room to experiment.
Right.
Everything we do sort of has. I think it sort of fits in with our style, the way we write things, but I don't know.
Theme-wise, not at all. It's
theme,
not.
Theme-wise, we're all over the place.
Yeah, for splits, it's just sort of we'll write a bunch of songs and know which band we're doing a split with, and kind of not shape it to fit that band, but a little more than we normally would.
But
with
we'll
record.
usually put songs that have a similar style or thematic essence together. It usually works out. It usually works out like that for the splits. But the splits are usually our way to sort of try new things with what we're doing a little bit more.
Cool.
And then with the full lengths, usually we'll do like some split stuff, and we'll fart around, do different things, and then when it comes time for the next full length, we'll sort of like try to pull from what we did on the splits and like make that a little bit more cohesive. Yeah. So
Cool.
That sounds right.
And with that, like, how do you go about artwork? And who mostly works with your art?
It's Brian. He's got a bunch of library books that he goes through, and of just old woodcuts and creepy old things. They're from the library, right? You just found them in the library.
Some of them. It
and
depends.
thematically, I don't know. They're kind of at one point, right?
Yeah.
That's Brian's answer. That's his answer.
That's what he would say.
Yeah, that's what he would say.
I've been doing shows in New Orleans for like years and years. So like I have, I do all kinds of flyers. So I had all kinds of stuff just sort of packed away from that. And then there were certain things where I'd have a picture and I'd be like, it might not work good on a flyer, but man, if I'm ever in a band, this would be really good for a band. So I had like a stack of stuff that I just sort of put to the side. And then when I got in this band, we just blazed through all that stuff, and then I would sort of find certain artists or whatever, and go to the library and get more books by those artists and pull stuff out. I mean, it's usually like 15th and 16th century woodcuts and stuff like that.
Right, right.
It'll be like, 19th century artists,
Mm-hmm.
Dulac and Doré and all that stuff.
Who?
No, who did the art on Summit for the CD release?
For the CD, I can't remember who I pulled. I mean, I stole that from somebody for sure.
Okay.
I think it's an old photographer from the 40s or 50s. I can't remember the guy. The same guy. I think we used some images for the Human Intruder split. I think all that stuff came from the same spot. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but it's an older photographer. He just did some stuff. And for the outside, and the inside is actually a picture from New Orleans, like a post-Katrina
Right.
picture of a statue on Loyola Avenue, and then the booklet just has some other random.
Like the
photos.
statue.
Yeah, the
that's
statue.
broken.
That's local. That's a friend of mine, Paul Thibodeau, took that picture.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff is pilfered. That's all I got.
Can you maybe talk about your lyrical concepts a little bit, and like the words, the bonds we make and the bonds we break ever come crashing down was kind of a lyric that I could really identify with from Summit, especially, and maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that lyric specifically was something I had on reserve for a long time when I was trying to push these guys to just like I wanted to do just like a really droney, just like a 10 or 15 minute drone song that just had one riff over and over and over again, and we never got around to using it. But then when we sort of had that part at the end of By Endurance We Conquer, it sort of fit, and it sort of fit thematically with that song, because I mean that song was sort of written. It was supposed to be like the introduction to the end of civilization, like that. I mean, the way I wrote that song was sort of about these sort of outsider groups taking control or causing certain catastrophes, or just being on the outside of certain catastrophes and taking advantage of things as sort of civilization collapses, and then ushering in sort of a new era, utopian era, basically.
Okay.
Basically.